Hello guys, welcome back. I was very pleasantly surprised to learn I actually had some free time this afternoon, and I thought I'd use that to review another dragon from Series 2, this time the Water Dragon. This is yet another unusual dragon, and already from the outside you can see a very serpentine body, and it is definitely a non-dragon-like dragon. It's more like a sea monster from the deep, and interestingly, you're not able to see that because of the lighting I've got here, but this box is so old and the bubble is so yellowed from age that it actually looks like algae viewed under natural light. So I could almost leave him in the box and make the whole thing look like a little dragon in a fish tank. But I won't be doing that because I think he looks pretty interesting, so I'm going to open him up to review him a bit more properly. Now, I don't usually do this, but I just wanted to highlight the side panel. I actually like this photograph. It's got they've used a very greenish algae-like algae green lighting, and that makes the whole thing look like it's actually in a very natural state in some deep ocean, and I like that. And I wish I had some way of recreating that light for my display. So anyway, let's get him open. Once again, as with all the Series 2 dragons, there is nothing, absolutely nothing to write home about. Behind there is no bio data, nothing like that. It's just pictures of all the dragons that you're gonna get, or they hope you're gonna get from Series 2. So without further ado, let's get him open. So here is everything out of the box. You have, of course, the dragon. You have the base, and you have this connecting rod. Now, this connecting rod is metal, unlike a lot of other dragons where the connecting rod is wooden and some other flimsy material. So that's nice. I know that's going to last me a while. I wanted to talk about the base first while I still had the light going. And this base, when I first saw it from the outside, I thought, oh no, it looks like it's just one dull and drab, single uniform color, you know, dark blue, maybe dark green piece of work. But on closer examination, once it was out of the box and once I had the correct lighting going, I was very pleasantly surprised because there are actually a lot of subtle hues of dark blue and dark green. They meld together very nicely. There are a lot of subtle fades, very nice shades. So when you see this thing in person, it really looks like something you might expect to find at the bottom of the sea. You know, I've seen coral reefs where the different species of algae give it just this sort of coloring. So it's really nice. It's really nice. Bits and pieces of seaweed. Now these things I nearly broke off a couple of times when I wasn't careful handling it, so you have to look out for that. But I think you're able to see the different shades and fades on this thing. So on to the main course, which is the dragon. So on to the dragon itself. Now one of my thoughts when I saw this dragon was, oh, is that another Asian dragon? It's got the same horse-shaped type head, but the similarity isn't as clear-cut as with the fire dragon. And there are enough unique features in this dragon to completely set it apart. First thing is this structure. This isn't a mane. In fact, it looks like some attempt at mimicry. It actually looks very twig-like. And certainly, as I've noticed in the various McFarlane dragons, and indeed one of the things that I really like about the series is that some thought seems to have been given to each of these creature designs to make it take on certain characteristics of real life animals. In other words, each creature seems to be very sensibly created, so that it looks like it really would exist. Here, let me show you an interesting feature, and it is probably one of the very obvious things you notice when you look at this dragon. It's got this little structure here. Now, this is very similar to the anglerfish's lure. In an anglerfish, a filament called the elysium sprouts from the center of the head, ending in a fleshy bulb called the esker. Now, what this is it can be moved about to resemble some sort of prey item, luring curious fish in, and as soon as the unfortunate fish touches the esker, an automatic reflex triggers off the jaws. So here you see some very unpleasant, sharp, long, spiny teeth, and that also reminds me of the anglerfish. It's downright menacing, and I can tell you that there is no escape for any animal that finds itself in these jaws. The other very obvious feature that's unusual are these flippers. Now, these remind me of turtles' flippers actually. The turtle flipper, of course, is an adaptation to sea life of the same homologous limbs we all have as vertebrates, and in some cases you might still be able to find a vestigial claw or two. Not so in our dragon. You see a lot more than that. In fact, you see a thumb, you see maybe 2 digits over here, and it's interesting because this suggests to me a creature that's only just recently adapted to life at sea. Detail wise, this whole dragon is a very dark green, and I guess in most lightings it probably will look pretty dull and pretty drab. It's just like the base I was talking about, where at first glance you think it's all one solid color. But looking at it up close and in the correct lighting, a lot more detail becomes apparent, which I'm really grateful for. Now, the color scheme of this creature seems to follow most deep sea, or I should say most sea creatures, as in looked at from above, it's a very dark color, so that any prey items or any predators, not likely, but certainly any animal that views it from above would find it difficult to differentiate its shape against the very dark and murky bottom, while any creature viewing it from above, because it's lightly colored below, would then tend to find it difficult to make out because of the sunlight that shines from above. So I'm not sure it was intended that way, but certainly that works for me. Okay, it seems to be quite modeled on real animals in real life. Like I said, this animal is pretty drab, which kind of makes sense. You know, it's a deep sea creature, so I don't think vivid coloration would really make any sense. And there's no need for warning colors or colors to attract a mate. It just certainly wouldn't be seen. Now, if I look at the whole thing, it's like I said before, it looks pretty serpentine, and that actually reminds me of Mosasaurus, which was in fact another reptile adapted to sea life. The same serpentine form, gliding effortlessly through the water, and I think about to strike at some prey with a quick flick of the tail which is also pretty interesting. Now I can see that again, that's obviously an adaptation to swimming. It looks, I don't know, it looks nice. It just looks like a I can't remember what it is. It looks like the tail on some eels that I've seen. The skin texture in general isn't very scale-like. Seems to be more like it seems to consist of studs. And speaking of studs, one interesting feature I thought was this double row of spines coming down the entire length of the animal. I like also the mosaic-like texture of the turtle flipper. I should say dragon flipper really. Yeah. Again, really, you know, with all McFarlane dragons, well, almost all, you know, except that Series 1 Berserker I complained about, all of them looks like, you know, a lot of detail, a lot of effort has been put into the creature. So each one really looks uniquely different. And oh, an interesting thing here. I thought that these were the forelimbs and these were the hind limbs. Actually, these... Oh, yes, now I've broken it. Have I broken it on the screen? Oh, no, actually. Okay, so yeah, so just pegs in like that. Well, just as well, because I was going to mention that actually this is a 6-limb creature. So you've got the 2 forelimbs here, the hind limbs which have become flippers, and in fact the wings are what have become the flippers. And I like this nod to convergent evolution, you know, where animals of different species, they develop the characteristic features best suited to a certain way of life. And hence in the past we saw reptiles like the ichthyosaurs, and in the modern day we see mammals like the whale and the dolphin, all having the same streamlined shape and fins of a fish, because that's obviously the best shape to swimming underwater. So I'll put all that together. You have the base, like I said, so that packs in here quite securely, and over here we have... Now once again, articulation is completely useless. Like I've said before, these dragons really don't have any articulation at all. Whatever articulation exists simply to get these models into the box, to quite squeeze it into as small a bubble as possible. So the right orientation is when you see all the... Oh, that's wrong. Where you see all the colors line up nicely, and then that's really what the articulation is for. So once you have colors that blend in correctly, you have no discontinuous lines, no color... Yes, no color, no shades of color that are being broken up, then you know you've pretty much got it the way it was intended to be. So no articulation whatsoever. So that's the Series 2 Water Dragon. All in all, another unique dragon. Maybe an ugly looking dragon, but definitely interesting and unique. Yeah, really, I just keep thinking of that scene in Predator where Arnold says, "You're one ugly mother." So that's all for me for this dragon. This keeps falling off, so you might want to look out for that. I think I've got to glue that back on. And I'll see you next time.